What's up, people? It's me. How's everybody doing today? I'm just sitting here watching college football. Some good games on tonight. Huskies playing an hour and a half. Gonna check that all out. But I think my mind is firmly on the game tomorrow night. Sunday night football in Lambeau Field. Game of the week, probably. Revenge game for the Packers. Going up to play those guys. And before the season started, I think most people looked at the schedule and said this is our toughest game of the year, and I would be inclined to agree with that. Um, we've got other tough games coming up. We've got at Baltimore, we've got at Dallas. Probably not with Des Bryant, probably not with Terrell Suggs on the part of the Ravens. We've got at Cincinnati, even at Arizona, and at San Francisco on a Thursday night. Those games are not easy by any stretch of the imaginations, but I think those games are the tough ones, but Green Bay is probably the toughest of them all. So, I'll say it that if we end up dropping this game, if it doesn't happen for us tomorrow night, I'm not going to be surprised. I'm not going to be shocked. I'm not going to be mad or anything like that. But I can absolutely see us finding a way to pull this game out, getting to 1-1. And if that happens, then we're going to be right where most people thought we would be. We're going to be right where I thought we were going to be. Because I'll say straight up that before the preseason started, really, I didn't think we were going to win this game. Packers have obviously had a few things happen to them since then that make things a little more even, but we'll have to see how everything processes. We'll see how much they end up missing the guys that they don't have. But to talk about this game and to talk about it in relation to the last game we played last week and what the concerns might be, I want to talk about this offense because the defense last week was bad, but the defense has been so good these last three seasons. We've had arguably the best defense each of the last three seasons. We had the best defense that any team has fielded this decade in the 2013 team. No team has had a better defense than that this entire decade. And we've been so consistently good that I cannot help but chalk that up as just a bad game. Because we've had bad games. You can go back and look at over the past three seasons. We've had the best defense in the league point wise in terms of points allowed these last 3 years, but you can find bad games. You can find bad halves. We gave up 3 touchdowns to a crappy Tampa Bay Buccaneers team the year we won the Super Bowl in a half. We got destroyed by the Colts and Andrew Luck the year we won the Super Bowl. You can find other bad games that we've had. But over time, this defense has proven over and over again that they are about as good as they come. Not worried about the defense. The defense was bad last week, but I'm not going to talk about what they need to do better too much because what they need to do better is very obvious. They need to tackle better. They need to stay in their assignments better, especially the linebackers. And that's really about it. It's that simple. And either the players are going to do that or they're not going to do it. That easy. Offensively, the offense has been good these last 3 years. I think in terms of points per game, they were top 10 each of the last 3 years. Near the bottom of the top 10, but they were top 10. They've had many great games. They've had many bad games. But I think the most important thing to keep in mind with this offense is that this is what you get when you have Pete Carroll as your head coach. Don't throw the ball over the middle. Take sacks. Punt the ball. Let my defense win the game. In Pete Carroll's mind, if the offense only scores 3 points the whole game, only kicks one field goal, as long as we don't turn the ball over, he believes in his defense to get the shutout to win that game. As long as the offense doesn't turn it over and put them in bad positions, he believes his defense is going to go out there and win the game. Doesn't always work out like that, but more often than not, that game plan has come through. So what he wants is very simple. Don't turn the ball over. Don't throw the ball over the middle. Make low percentage, high reward plays, and that'll be good enough. And that frustrates people when you lose a game like you lost last week, where the defense doesn't show up. And at the end of the game, you're kind of thinking to yourself, I wish this offense had opened things up a little bit more throughout the game. But that's what you get with Pete Carroll. So, what can we do against this Packers team? I'm sure we're going to be able to run the ball. I'm sure we're going to be able to run the ball. We could not run the ball last week at all. I think we had right around 100 total yards rushing, which is not nearly good enough for a team like this. But if you look at the Rams, they've got three killers on that defensive line. Killer, 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 killer. Quinn, Brockers, Donald, and, Chris Long. And they balled out. They balled out. You look at this Packers team, they've got one killer on that defensive line, and he's a question mark. He's coming off the major injury. He's getting a little older. He might not be the player that he was a couple years ago when the Packers won the Super Bowl or when he was making a Pro Bowl or two. I think he made the Pro Bowl twice, maybe just once. But he might not be the killer anymore. B.J. Raji, you don't know what he's got now. This is his second game back from the season-ending injury last year. And I don't know if he's still the destructive force that he used to be. I mean, certainly the Bears ran the ball all over the Packers last week. So I'm sure we'll be able to run the ball, get around 200 yards rushing. As long as we don't get blown out, that's kind of what I expect, to get right around there. Lynch gets his 100 plus. Wilson gets some. Fred Jackson gets some. Maybe an end around. One way or another, I expect our running game to get somewhere around that 200 yards rushing total. Not worried about that. If we cannot run the ball against the Packers, something is really wrong. They're missing one of their inside linebackers. Sam Barrington went out for the year. Morgan Burnett probably won't play based on what I'm hearing. They've got a couple other killers on that defense, and I'll talk more about those two guys in a second, because those two guys scare the jeebus out of me right now. But they've got holes on that defense, and I expect us to be able to run the ball, no problem. It's this passing game that I think has some people concerned, because the passing game was not good in the preseason. The running game really wasn't that good in preseason either, but Marshawn Lynch didn't play but 3 plays the whole preseason, so who cares about that? And to me, looking at tomorrow, it's all about air yards. Wilson had practically no air yards against the Rams because their pass rush got to the quarterback so fast, he just had to hit his back foot and throw it. People were on him so fast, he had to drop back, make a read, and get it out of his hand immediately on practically every play. That is not Russell Wilson's game. Russell Wilson is not an Alex Smith. He is not a quarterback who's going to go down the field with 6-yard passes, 14 plays, 6 yards at a time, and then you get in the end zone for a touchdown. That is not Russell Wilson. His deep ball is one of the best deep balls in the game. I've watched him play every snap for the past 3 seasons plus now. He is a deep ball quarterback. He's got a beautiful deep ball. His game is hitting these guys down the field for big chunks of yards at a time. He is not going to go down the field 5 yards and 6 yards at a time. Against the Rams, he had to become that quarterback, and frankly, I don't think he's that good at throwing the short balls. He's okay. He can get the job done doing that from time to time, but when that's the only thing he's got, there's a problem. And I'm not going to put the blame on that I'm not going to blame anybody specifically for that, because quite frankly, when the pass rush is doing the things that they were doing last week, you can't do anything about that. And it's not like we could have schemed away from that. Maybe there were a couple other things we could have done a little better. Maybe we could have gone into max protect. But realistically, when you've got 4 killers on that defensive line, you can't double team all of them. You double team all of them, you've got 3 receivers out there running around against 7 defensive backs. Nothing good's going to happen. So I'll give him a pass for that. Wilson couldn't play his game last week because the Rams didn't let us. But now this week we got the Packers. they've got two guys who get after the quarterback. They've got one really good guy in Julius Peppers. He's 35. He's not what he used to be. He looked fine against the Bears last week. I'll tell you that right now. He was a monster against the Bears, helping them win that game. But they've got him, and he's still a really good player, still a really good pass rusher from that outside linebacker spot. And then they've got one monster who scares the piss out of me on the other end in Clay Matthews, who, he's one of the best pass rushers in the game, and he's damn near killed Wilson before. I mean, we played him, I think, 3 times in the Russell Wilson era, and he's done some damage. So, got to be careful, but point is, we know where it's coming from this year. It's not like against the Rams, where if it doesn't come from this guy, it comes from that guy, or that guy, or that guy. No. It's going to come mainly from Clay Matthews, and it's mainly going to come from Julius Peppers. So, what I'm trying to get at here is this game is going to be a test for Darrell Bevell, who has come under fire recently for not doing his job very well. I let him off the hook for week 1 because of the circumstances of that game, but we need to do whatever we need to do. We need to scheme up a game plan that will allow us to get Wilson time in the pocket to make plays downfield, because I promise you, if Russell Wilson gets time in the pocket, he can make plays downfield against this Packers team. They're missing a safety. They're missing an inside linebacker. They're the Sam Shields has not looked good to start this season, and I think you can pick on him a little bit maybe. But it's all up to our offensive coordinator, Darrell Bevell, to scheme up a game plan to make sure that Clay Matthews doesn't get to Wilson as soon as he hits the back of his drop back. If you have to put 2 guys on him, you put 2 guys on him. If you have to, whatever you have to do, I don't care what it is, you find a way to keep him in check, because he'll get his. I know he's going to get his. But you got to find a way to consistently give Wilson enough time. And Gary Gilliam is playing this game with an injured rib. I think he's going to play. He's probably going to play, but it looks like he's not 100%. If you've got to put a guy out there to help him block Clay Matthews on every single play, you do it. So if I watch this game tomorrow and I see Clay Matthews and Julius Peppers wreak havoc for 4 quarters, then I'm really going to start to question this Darrell Bevell thing. I gave him a pass for week 1. There are no passes this week. Find a way to limit that pass rush. Get Wilson the time he needs to throw the ball down the field. And we got a chance. If we can run the ball and pass the ball effectively like that, we got a chance. So, other than that, I'm not scared of this game. I'm not just accepting that we're going to lose right off the bat. I think losing is a real possibility. I think Green Bay's a really good team. I think that it's probably more likely than not that they do win. I'll give them that. I mean, Aaron Rodgers hasn't thrown an interception at home since Bill Clinton was president or whatever it is they say up there. But, I'm not scared of their wide receivers. They've got one killer, Randall Cobb, who's playing hurt, mind you. Cliff Averill and Frank Clark should be able to have good games against the backup right tackle, because Balaga got hurt in practice this week. And they don't have a tight end that scares me. I think their tight end is Richard Rodgers, and he's, tight ends are what can kill this defense from time to time. And Jared Cook had a big game against us last week. Richard Rodgers is not the kind of guy who will kill you like that, I don't think. So, yeah, we can do this. We can come out of this first 2 games of the year 1-1. And if we do that, we're setting ourselves up in great shape going forward. If it doesn't happen, no need to panic. Just got to come out like a bat out of hell these next 15 weeks. And we can do that. We can absolutely do that. So, yeah. Air yards. That's what tomorrow's going to be all about. Can Wilson get the ball down the field to Jimmy Graham, Jermaine Kearse, Doug Baldwin, Tyler Lockett? That's what it's all about. The players, the coaches, find a way to get it done. Other than that, I'll see you guys after the game, and that's a pretty good sign that this video needs to come to a close. See you guys later.